Strap in for the world's fastest half hour. You're on the straight line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. And brought to you by Hercules Tires and Grunt Style Apparel. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Herbert and Ralph Sheheen.
The NHRA is one of the most successful motorsport sanctioning bodies in the world. Why is the NHRA succeeding when many others are not? What changes are coming in the future? We'll ask those questions and more to the president of the National Hot Rod Association, Glen Cromwell, and the president of the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Chris Blair. What? I'm sorry?
Chris Powell, right?
Oh, geez. We gotta do that again.
That's like Chris Blair. Blair. That's
He's
St.
a gateway.
Louis. Yeah.
Jeez. But he used to be out there, right?
He was out there, yeah.
Yeah, Chris Powell. Okay, my bad. Sorry, guys.
That was right.
Strap in for the world's fastest half hour. You're on the straight line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. And brought to you by Hercules Tires and Grunt Style Apparel. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Herbert and Ralph Sheheen.
The NHRA is one of the most successful motorsport sanctioning bodies in the world. Why is the NHRA succeeding when many others are not? What changes are coming in the future? We'll ask those questions and more to the president of the National Hot Rod Association, Glen Cromwell, and the president of the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Chris Powell. Hi, everybody. Welcome to MRN's The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Ralph Sheheen and Doug Herbert with you here in our still spooky studios. We enjoy Halloween so much, we just couldn't get rid of it any sooner than, well, maybe next week. We got to start turning over for Thanksgiving shortly after this. The business of drag racing. It's on all of our minds if you're passionate about the sport like we all are. And right now, Doug, I think you could safely say that the NHRA is one of, without a question, the most successful and fastest growing forms of motorsport, not just here in America, but worldwide.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the NHRA has done a great job. 2008, everything kind of, everything slowed down for everybody in motorsports just in general. And it seems like NHRA has rebounded from that, pretty well. But drag racing is not, as you say, popular just here in the United States. I mean, I've been to drag races over in Europe at Santa Pod Raceway down in Aruba, at their drag strip down there. I've been drag racing at Fuji Speedway in Japan, all over the world. So drag racing is something that's popular. It's easy, right? How do you explain drag racing to somebody? Okay, we're going to have two cars. We're going to start here. We're going to go down there. Whoever gets there first wins. Like, how simple is that? When did they start drag racing? Whenever they made the second car.
Right. So, well, okay, so it sounds simple, obviously, and in some ways it is, but it is expensive. Yeah. And there's a wide variety of ways to get involved. So many different forms of categories and groups that you can run with. Why is it working now, do you think?
I don't know why that is. I think one thing I'm interested to ask Glenn here in a little bit is one thing that I think makes it popular is the accessibility to the pits and to the fans. The fans that can go to the races, they can go up to the drivers and get an autograph and talk to them a little bit. You can't do that in a NASCAR race. I think that's a pretty cool thing. And I think that's something that the NHRA has done a good job at promoting and, overall making the sport more popular.
Well, we're going to go right to the source. The man himself, the president of the NHRA, Glen Cromwell, is going to be with us momentarily on our Racing Electronics Hotline right after this break.
If it's time to replace your vehicle's headlights, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts See Better, Drive Safer sale for a twin pack of Sylvania Silver Star Ultra headlights and get a $15 O'Reilly gift card after mail-in rebate. See farther and more clearly with Silver Star headlights at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hi, this is Mike Bagley. Join me and the rest of the MRN crew every Tuesday night for NASCAR Live. We'll put a bow on the weekend's action and get you ready for the upcoming race with the biggest names in the sport.
As you look at that particular race, that's been one of our best races over the years, and I think every driver in the garage is looking forward to racing this particular package.
Hear exclusive interviews, expert analysis, as well as stuff you won't hear anywhere else.
Oh yeah, good job, guys. Good job.
It's It's NASCAR Live this Tuesday night at 7 Eastern on the Motor Racing Network.
NHRA drag racer Doug Herbert here to talk about safe driving. In early 2008, my 2 sons were killed in a car accident that was caused by speed and inexperience. After the accident, I learned that over 6,000 teenagers each year are killed in car accidents, so I formed a nonprofit organization called Brakes. Brakes stands for Be Responsible and Keep Everyone Safe. Please visit our website at putonthebrakes.org to learn more about responsible driving and what you can do to keep our roads safe.
Welcome back to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's more with Ralph Sheheen and Doug Herbert.
The business of drag racing. That's what we're talking about here today on The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. And the man who knows more about it than anybody is the president of the National Hot Rod Association, Mr. Glen Cromwell, who joins us now on our Racing Electronics Hotline. Glenn, great to have you with us here this afternoon.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. Listen, we want to get right to this, and we're talking about the business of drag racing. The NHRA right now is without a question one of the fastest growing and most successful sanctioning bodies in all the world. Why do you think that is now? I mean, drag racing's been around, seems like, forever.
No, things are going well, and I think the big change there was about 3 years ago. We went into a partnership with Fox and FS1, and really has been a game changer for the sport. It's really exposed the great sport, the access to the fans, to the viewers at home. So I think Fox has done a great job. I think that's a big part of it, but also it's just, the way people consume racing today, we fit perfectly for that younger demo of, they want something quick and impactful, and we provide that. So no, things are going very well at the NHRA. Our attendance is doing well. We've had 9 sellout crowds this year. Our attendance is up. All of our key metrics, social, our all access, our streaming channel, all that is up. So we're extremely happy with the direction where NHRA is today and where we're going.
Hey, Glenn, one thing I read that was pretty interesting is the young demographic from like 18 to 35 was up over 18% with the drag racing fans, with the current drag racing fan. That is a huge jump and really one of the most important demographic ranges, too.
Wow, it's a huge demographic, and you're right, Doug. I mean, we've seen a great increase on that, and I think it's what I just touched on is how people consume content, how they consume activities, and NHRA is well positioned for that because, every 90 seconds, you've got the most powerful motorsports, fastest motorsport in the world, and you can consume it in that facet. But, the other thing is we have a lot of youth programs that are great. We have a youth and education program that we bring out 30 to 40,000 junior, seniors, first-year college kids out, and it's a great program. It's centered around STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and how it ties to our sport, careers in our sport. So, a lot of things that we're touching on hits that demo, and it's going well, going very well.
As you look at the growth of the National Hot Rod Association, I'm sure you spend a lot of time studying and maybe even talking to other sanctioning body presidents for NASCAR, IndyCar, or other racing organizations. How much time do you spend looking at things like the NFL, the NBA, or maybe Major League Baseball as you try to figure out a pattern for growth for the NHRA?
I mean, I do quite a bit. I mean, I think we all in the sports industry look at what the other properties are doing and the successes that they're having and what we can learn from them. And, yeah, we look at that a lot. Major League Baseball, NFL, hockey, and, of course, NASCAR, IndyCar. We watch what they're doing and definitely want to capitalize on successes. I mean, to me, I think NASCAR and, IndyCar, all of us are in motorsports. We're all kind of a family, and we want to grow this sector together. So, we watch what everyone's doing and pay attention to it very closely.
Hey, Glenn, being the president of the NHRA is a pretty big deal, right? I've been fortunate enough to know all the presidents of the NHRA, but Wally Parks, Dallas Gardner, Tom Compton, Peter Clifford, and now you. That's that's a pretty elite group for you to be, and that's unbelievable.
Well, I think, I mean, I don't know. It's an honor. It truly is an honor to, have this position and take on the responsibility, and carry Wally's mission and vision forward. I think that's important. But really, it starts with the people around me, and it's the people here. We have a great leadership team, our entire staff. I think anybody that leads a company will tell you you're only as good as the people that you work with, and put that great support team around you. And that's very true here at the NHRA, because I think we have the best minds, but we also have great track partners. They're a big part of our success. Without our track partners, it doesn't happen. And then, of course, our race teams are important, very important, and our partners, sponsors, and then, of course, the fans. But, it really starts with building a great team around yourself, to be able to have success in the future.
Obviously, you have your challenges as well. And one of those areas right now is in the pro stock category. There's been a couple of race weekends where the car count hasn't been at a full 16-car field. How do you plan to address that going forward?
Well, actually, the car counts at this year actually is up. So the car counts are actually doing pretty well, but that doesn't really, address the economic challenges within that category. And we are having current discussions with them to adjust that for the future. We do believe pro stock is extremely exciting. We know that there's a fan base out there that loves them, and we want to make sure that we take care of that fan base, because it's great racing, great side-by-side racing. Doesn't get any closer than pro stock. I think we just need to address the economic challenges around that category, and that's what we're doing as we speak, and hopefully put it in a position of strength, so that it's around for many, many years to come.
Hey, Glenn, one of the things that I like and that you've talked about a little bit ago was the YES program and the youth programs that the NHRA has been doing for a long time to promote. And one of the things that you guys have been really supportive of is my brakes program, helping me with different tracks around the country and bringing these teenagers out. And there again, it goes back to Wally's vision, right? Getting them off the streets and keeping these kids safer and teaching them a little bit. So I want to just thank you for the help and support that you have been for many, many years. We've known each other for a long time, and just the NHRA in general. I want to thank you so much.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm glad you brought that up, because I wanted to say this at the beginning, and I was fortunate enough to attend your brakes gala there in Charlotte that you held on Friday night during the weekend that the NHRA was in town, and I have to say, Doug, the impact you have made on so many younger drivers is unbelievable. I mean, your mission is very similar to Wally's, and that is impacting the youth and how they respect safety, and you have really followed that. And I really, commend you and everything that you have done, and being there Friday night. Just once again, I go every year, and it hits home for me, and just so impressed with Doug Herbert and Brakes and your entire team. So you're the one that should actually be commended, not me.
Well, thank you. And we'll be looking forward to you bringing your teen driver out to a brakes program before too long as well.
We'll be there in December. We're looking forward to it.
Glenn, just before we let you go, could you give us a quick peek into the vision of where you have the NHRA headed in the next 5 years? Maybe the calendar or categories, or just how you see the sport growing 5 years from today.
Well, I mean, I think we have, the long-term vision is we want to build this sport. We're trying to get as many eyeballs as we can. And, we have been a sanctioning body, and we will always be a sanctioning body governing the sport. But we are really turning the NHRA into a media company, where we can touch new fans. No matter how they consume racing, we want to be able to do that. So really, from a company standpoint, we really want to turn ourselves into a multimedia company. From a racing standpoint, we want to really build, make sure we build our top fuel and funny car categories. And we want to make sure that we create affordability. I'll use the word cost containment. We think it's important to build those two categories with all the others too, but top fuel and funny car are extremely important. I'd love to see Doug Herbert, as I told him a couple of weeks ago. I'd love to see him back on the track. He's an incredible racer, and he's a superstar of our sport. And we would love to get him and a lot of the new racers into our sport and grow on that level. But I think the big area is next 5 years we need to get as many eyeballs as we can on this great sport, because I think we'd all agree. I know Doug would, Ralph, you would agree. Once you come to our sport, it's incredible. I mean, every ticket's a pit pass, the access, you get to touch the drivers up close. And of course, we're the fastest, most explosive motorsport in the world. So we have a lot to offer, and our plan is to grow that over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Well, there's no doubt about that. As you and I have talked about in the past, once it gets into your system, it never gets out of the blood, that is for sure. And it's great to have Glen Cromwell at the helm of our sport headed forward. Thank you, Glen, for joining us here today, president of the NHRA, joining us today on a Racing Electronics Hotline. Thanks again.
Thank you, guys. Take care. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, Glenn.
All right, you too. Great to see the future of our sport in good hands. I like the vision he has for where he wants to take the sport.
Yeah, I think he's got some. He's been there for a long time. He's seen things that's happening, and he's realized, hey, I think this is where we need to take the sport to make it continue to grow. And they're growing, and as you said in the open, there's some other sports and motorsports that aren't growing. So, great job, I can say, for Glen Cromwell and his team.
Yeah, and breaking news: Doug Herbert's going back to racing. You heard it here first. The president of the NHRA just said it. We'll be back with more right after this.
Things happen fast in racing, and if you don't know where to look, you can miss it all. With Legend from Racing Electronics, you'll never miss another moment. Legend gives you live fan vision video, in-car cameras, and stats at premier National Series events, and the next generation race scanner for unfiltered driver and crew audio at any motorsports event nationwide. Race fans have never been closer to the action. Welcome to the future of the fan experience. Learn more by visiting racingelectronics.com.
If it's time to replace your vehicle's headlights, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts See Better, Drive Safer sale for a twin pack of Sylvania Silver Star Ultra headlights and get a $15 O'Reilly gift card after mail-in rebate. See farther and more clearly with Silver Star headlights at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Hey, I'm Wing Nation's Steve Post. Join Ashley Stremme and I live from the World of Outlaws World Finals. On Friday, November 2nd from 2 to 3, we'll talk with the stars of the Wing Sprint Car world at Charlotte Dirt Track's Camper Appreciation event. It's at the pavilion next to the drag strip. We'll kick off the World Finals in style. Wing Nation live from the Dirt Track at Charlotte, Friday, November 2nd at 2. Join us there live or listen on MRN.com or WingNation.com.
You're staged for another run on the straight line. Brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Once again, here's Doug and Ralph.
Welcome back. MRN's The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Today in our Halloween-themed set, we're talking about the business of drag racing. And we just had President of the NHRA, Glen Cromwell, on. And now it's time to get a little bit more down to the main level of the sport and hear from one of the top promoters in the business. So joining us now on our Racing Electronics Hotline is the president of, I would say, arguably one of the finest drag strips you'll find anywhere in the country, the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Chris Powell, joining us on the line now. Chris, how are you doing today?
Well, first of all, let's get rid of that arguably part, Ralph.
Just like a good promoter.
Thank you, Ralph and Doug, for having me today. I'm doing just great. It's another beautiful day in Las Vegas.
Yeah, isn't it always? You know, you guys went from 2 lanes to 4, and that was a major undertaking. How's it worked out?
Well, very well. You know, when Bruton Smith puts his mind to making some radical changes, he can do it with the best of them. And he was determined over time that we would grow to 4 lanes, similar to what was done in Charlotte at ZMAX Dragway, and we were able to pull it off in the off season here at Las Vegas Motor Speedway.
Well, Chris, one of the things that I've always thought was cool of going to Vegas and racing was all the different events. You know, you guys do the Fan Fest downtown. You've got, you know, the whole town of Las Vegas is really buzzing about racing. You know, whether it's coming there for the NHRA race or for the NASCAR races or championship, whatever. I mean, you guys like create just a huge event around the races.
Well, we have a tremendous staff here at the Speedway that works diligently to do just that, Doug. But it's not only about our staff; it's also about the support we get from sponsors, especially along the Las Vegas Strip, the hotels, and not the least of which is the Las Vegas Visitors and Convention Authority. I mean, they do such a tremendous job in helping us support it. So we will have the Fan Fest with the driver autograph sessions on Fremont Street this weekend, and it just does the heart good, because motorsports has become, or let me say it, put it like this: Las Vegas has become quite a hotbed of motorsports, and whether it's the Busch brothers on the NASCAR side or the fact that the Strip here creates 2 great NHRA national event weekends, I think that people, when they think of Las Vegas and they think of great motorsports facilities, I think they think of us, and without question, we have 2 of the most highly anticipated national events of any NHRA season. And now that we go 4 wide in the spring, there's a little bit of a difference. If you're a 2 wide fan, you can come in the fall, and it's right at the very penultimate race of the countdown. And also in the spring, it's a little bit more relaxed. But when they go 4 wide, it's quite a charge. And you know, I've talked to a lot of drivers around the NHRA, and they had their concerns about 4 wide racing, but I think to a man now, they all really enjoy it, and it certainly has added a new dimension for motorsports for us here in Las Vegas.
Chris, you've got some other challenges out there, one being the Golden Knights now. They've come in, and now just on the horizon, here come the Raiders shortly thereafter that. How do you promote with or against that, and why do you believe that the NHRA, for example, will still have great success when Las Vegas has other tenants moving in?
Well, that's a really good question, Ralph. But, you know, we promote with, and as we saw the sports landscape continue to widen here in Las Vegas over the past few years, I'm happy to say that our group was understood that we needed to work with these other sports franchises. We have done co-marketing promotions with the Golden Knights. We've already made great inroads with the soon-to-be Las Vegas Raiders. By the way, I was just driving by the new stadium yesterday. It's hard to believe how massive it already is, and is going to be great for our city. But you know, our PR groups from all of these sports entities here, whether it's the Las Vegas Lights, the soccer team, or the Golden Knights hockey team, which experienced such a successful first season, culminating in going all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals, the Raiders, UNLV, the 51s AAA baseball team, the Speedway here. We all work together to from a PR and marketing standpoint to do things together to co-promote, because nobody is going to be stronger if we are all competing with one another. So from a marketing and as well as a PR standpoint, where we've had our PR groups have a meeting every month to discuss commonalities in promoting. And just a couple of months ago, to promote our NASCAR event, we had Kurt Busch here with a couple of the leaders from the Golden Knights team, and Kurt went and did some skating, and if you could call it that in Kurt's case, and then a couple of the players came out and drove in the NASCAR racing experience. So we're working closely with these other entities, including UNLV and the Running Rebels, to promote together, because I think it makes us all stronger.
Chris, you've done a great job for a long time that I've known you. Not only through the drag racing, but with the R.J. Reynolds and all the promotions that you guys did, and you tied so many things together with promotions, and that seems like a lot what you've been able to do out there at Las Vegas and Bruton, building that incredible facility out there. I went out there the first time to race at the old Speedrome back in the '80s, and it was like you had to back your car up alongside the drag strip. Everybody did so you could see your way down the drag strip, and just to see the changes is amazing.
There are parts of that drag strip, Doug, that still exist. It's amazing the way Bruton and Marcus have invested so much in Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and we've got about 13, sometimes it's hard to count, we have 13 or 14 separate and distinct racetracks on this property. We like to call it America's Racing Showplace, and tying in with the Las Vegas showroom theme. And I'm just so indebted to the employees here at the Speedway and to Bruton and Marcus, who have made such a tremendous investment in our facility here, whether it's going 4 wide on the drag strip or the Neon Garage and all it has to offer. And with so much opportunity here and with a great staff, we do 1,450 or so event days a year. Now, when you think about it, there's only 365 days in a year, and we're doing sometimes 7 and 8 different events on the property. So we try to keep things hopping. It's a great city in which to do business. People want to come here, and when corporations come here and auto manufacturers see the opportunities that we have out here, we're able to put together some very interesting deals.
And that's a perfect segue into what I wanted to ask you, Chris, because you do touch base with it on so many different levels of styles of motorsports. And I'm sure you've had plenty of opportunity to talk to other track promoters with the NHRA. As you look at the sport of drag racing right now, what is it doing really right, and what is it doing that it needs to work on?
I think Peter Clifford and Glen Cromwell are taking us in the right direction from an NHRA drag racing perspective. I think the fans need to be closer to the sport, and I'm not saying that in a literal sense, but more in a figurative sense. And the opportunities for race fans when they come to an NHRA drag race are immense. I mean, obviously just what you see out on the racetrack, but to get into the pit areas, every pit is a pit pass at every single NHRA national event. They're doing everything they can to bring the sport closer to the race fans, and I think in all forms of motorsports we need to have that approach. I'd be open just on the NASCAR front to opening up the garage immediately after the checkered flag, so that fans could form a wave into the garage area and get autographs from the drivers. We've been talking to NASCAR about that for some time, but that's not an issue in NHRA because they can get into the pit areas, interact with the fans, and I will promise you that our numbers are trending better on the NHRA side than I ever would have imagined. Motorsports, all form of sports right now are having challenges when it comes to admissions and bringing fans out, because so many fans now, just that little object they've got in their pockets there, those little telephones, can give them so much information if they're not at the racetrack. So it makes it harder to get them there. But one thing about NHRA drag racing is that when fans come and experience it in person, they get a dimension that you cannot get in any other form of motorsports. And so I think the continual effort by NHRA to keep fans close to the sport, we've got great personalities. We're always coming up with new and younger drivers that are competing at a very high level, and so it really is. Doug, you mentioned my days back at R.J. Reynolds. And I remember Ralph Seagraves and T. Wayne Robertson said, just always remember, it's all about the race fans. And then I went to work for Bruton and Marcus, and they feel the same way. It's about the race fans. So the more that we can do for the fans, the more comfortable we can make them, the more opportunities we can give them while they're on the property, the better off the sport will be. And I think that is the same kind of attitude that Peter Clifford and Glen Cromwell and everybody at NHRA has.
And, of course, the 2019 season right around the corner, and we encourage you to get your tickets now to go Visit the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway April 5th through the 7th. The Denso Spark Plugs NHRA 4-Wide Nationals, and go back there in October 24th through the 27th for the NHRA Nevada Nationals. The president of the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Chris Powell, joining us. Chris, thanks for joining us here today on our Racing Electronics Hotline.
Thank you very much, Ralph and Doug. We appreciate what you're doing for the sport. Let me just add one thing. Our drag strip manager, Jeff Foster, lost his mother earlier this week, and we want to just be thinking about Jeff and his family a little bit, because they're great people and a great drag racing family, and Jeff does a tremendous job at our drag strip. And just want to thank you for having me on today, and we hope to see you out here at the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway this weekend.
Absolutely, buddy. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
All right, folks, stay with us. We're coming right back.
Welcome to the Speed Sport News Center. I'm Derek Prinsiglio.
Suzuki presents Speed Sport.
These are guys that you can take anywhere in the country and they can win on any given night.
Oh! What a great shot.
Citywide to countryside, whatever you drive, wherever you go. Hercules Tires has the value, selection, and industry-leading warranty to get you there, no matter where the road takes you. To learn more, visit HerculesTire.com. Hercules Tires, ride on our strength.
Save on your next oil change when you purchase 5 quarts of Pennzoil High Mileage Motor Oil and a MicroGuard filter for the price of Pennzoil Conventional. Now $26.99. Extend the life of your vehicle and save big with Pennzoil oil and filter specials at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You're listening to The Straight Line, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Now, back to Ralph and Doug.
Been an interesting day here today on MRN's The Straight Line, presented by O'Reilly Auto Parts, talking about the business side of drag racing and how the future looks going forward for this great sport of ours. And on our Racing Electronics Hotline, we had the president of the NHRA, Glen Cromwell, and president of the Strip at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Chris Powell. And for 30 years now, Racing Electronics has been the #1 choice for racing scanners, headphones, and the popular FanVision handheld unit. Make sure you check out all our great new products online at racingelectronics.com. Okay, so time for red light, green light before we wrap up today's show. And let's keep it with the business theme. So let's begin on, I don't want to say negative side, but the red light side of the issues. What do you think, Doug, right now is the red light issue?
Well, I guess the red light issue is what Glen Cromwell was kind of talking about, and what all the racers talk about is the increasing cost, the cost of the sport of drag racing. I mean, I think it's no mystery that that's a big problem with the Pro Stock class, but it's not only with the Pro Stock class, it's Top Fuel and Funny Car. I mean, it's getting very expensive to do that, so you have to bring the value of those sponsorships up to the level at what the cost is to run the teams. And I think that, according to what Glen's doing and what everybody has seen, I think the value of their media exposure is getting greater. So that's good. So that's bad and good, right?
Yeah.
It's bad because it's expensive, but it's good because something's happening.
How much do you think we got to chop off the top? 10%, 20%, 30% of the cost?
I think you just got to keep it from escalating. I think it's going crazy. It's turned into, it's kind of a rich guy sport at the end of the day. And that's, that develops trouble when you can't go out, in the old days you had weekend warriors, right? You could go get your buddies together at night, work on your Top Fuel car, and then go out to the races and run on the weekend. You can't do that anymore. It doesn't happen. And the cost is astronomical. So I think cutting the cost is one thing, but at least keeping them from continuing to kind of spiral out of control.
All right, green light time now. What did you like that Glen said?
Oh, I liked a lot of what he said. I think what he was getting at is that youth, that 18% increase to those, medium, 25-year-old fans. That's huge, We would say that for years. I think you and I have even talked about it before. We'd see the same drag fans at every race for 20 years. You go back and you see the same guy. Well, they were 20 years old when they started coming. Now they're 40 years old, or where they were 40, now they're 60. The ages of the fans were getting older. So it's really good to see some younger fans coming back into the sport. And I think what Glenn said is right. It's quick. It's exciting. You can go in the pits. It's an experience. Kids can go on their phone and get information. They got to get the experience. That's what's important, I think.
First thing my 3-year-old at the time, Lucas' son, ever said when he went to a drag strip here at Charlotte, and I put him in the grandstands, and the first four cars went down the strip together, he turned to me and said, "Daddy, my tummy tickles." We need more "Daddy, my tummy tickles," right? That's how you get the kids hooked. He's been a fan of drag racing ever since. That one experience live, and it's locked in. Thanks to Glen Cromwell and Chris Powell for joining us today. Doug Herbert, I'm Ralph Sheheen. We hope to see you at the drag strip soon.